Good morning. My name is Taylor Bell, and I have the pleasure of sitting with Bob Freedman, the co-chairman of Colliers International's Tri-State region. So Bob, let's get right into it.
Okay, you got it.
First, can you tell us a bit about your relationship with CKGSP?
I better be very brief this time. I've been their real estate advisor for approximately 5 years in North America, and I was appointed to their advisory board for a series of summit conferences that they've held. And the principal thrust of these conferences is forging a relationship between China and the United States that allows us to collaborate and compete with China in what emerges as the most single important bilateral relationship in the world.
Agreed. So track us through how Colliers as an organization has supported our clients and constituents through this pandemic.
Taylor, we've literally had to mobilize and marshal every one of our resources to support our client base and the constituencies, workplace strategies, warehouse and distribution, our logistics practice, tenant representation, landlord representation, capital markets, which is emerging as a critical factor as assets get stressed. And underwriting criteria is changed as we work through this pandemic.
Right.
So, and our global reach, because this pandemic has been a global phenomenon, and that has been a critical success factor in our ability to serve our clients.
Sure. So we'll drill down on the office sector in a bit, but let's start, just touch on the effects on retail, warehouse, and distribution sectors.
Brick and mortar retail, I don't have to lecture anyone on this, is probably the most beleaguered category in our industry. And there's been a discernible trend that digital, online, has supplanted brick and mortar retail to a greater extent than ever contemplated. So that brick and mortar retail literally has to reinvent itself, and some of it is being repurposed for last mile distribution. The consumer has been so cosseted and so indulged that they have almost zero tolerance for any significant time spent between click and collect in the digital world. They want that product,
right,
and they want it delivered promptly.
Right.
And those retailers that can't do that are clearly going to be at risk of losing market share.
Right. A true paradigm shift.
A true paradigm shift. Yes,
So-
well said, Taylor.
Thank you. Moving into the office sector, what challenges are landlords facing in this environment?
Clearly, demand has slackened, so landlords have to coax tenants back to the workplace.
Right.
And they're trading in a very challenging environment. What we're finding is landlords that are most proactively engaged in marketing strategies are the ones that are the most successful in this market cycle. What does that mean? Well, I learned a new word the other day. It's called biophilia. What is biophilia? Humans have an innate need to connect with nature. That refers to everything from plantings to flower gardens. So what we're finding is landlords are repurposing terraces and setback portions of buildings that were cluttered with mechanical equipment. Right. Now it's morphing into vegetable gardens. I was scoffing at this, but I think I've been chastened. Beekeeping, we laugh. I mean, the very notion of beekeeping.
Right.
But it is very much a crowd-pleasing amenity.
Sure.
And it also allows both landlords and tenants alike to flaunt their environmental credentials, flaunt their chops.
And from the tenant's perspective, what have we learned from the pandemic, and where is work headed?
I think that what we now call distributed work, which incorporates remote work into the workplace strategy, is not going away. It is here to stay. And I think we are deriving certain tasks that are best performed remotely. Other functions can never be replaced via remote work. And what's so critical now is that we're a global market, and we have to attract the best and the brightest. This town is about a best and brightest ethos, and it's about innovation, and it's about leadership. And the way you innovate, the way you generate all these epiphanies and so-called aha moments, which is accretive, which enhances shareholder and stakeholder value, that has to be done in the workplace to a very large extent. And it's not for people that you work with every day who are like kind and think like you. You want to have impromptu encounters with people who look at the world through different perspectives and different values.
Right.
That creates these aha moments.
Right.
That is what incubates human capital, and that's what this city does, like
Very
no
interesting.
other city in the world.
Very inspirational. So how do you think, in closing,
Yeah.
this market cycle differs from previous cycles? And what's the long-term prospect for the office sector?
I think this market cycle, we have to recognize that there's been a secular change in the way business is configured. It may tamp down modestly levels of demand for the office sector. We have all-time historic highs in terms of availability rate, sublease inventory that continues to overhang the market. I think the recovery in this market cycle will lag most of the previous market cycles until we can achieve market equilibrium. The most predictive model for the long-term viability of the New York City office sector is, you will recall a year ago, the residential rental market was depressed.
Yes.
There were significant availabilities. Landlords were packaging significant concessions to induce tenants to enter into 1 and 2 year leases. Today, the demand has been fully restored. The concessions have all burned off. There are no concessions today.
Correct.
So, as long as the best and the brightest are clamoring to work in New York, this city will continue to flourish. This is about human capital. This is about a best and brightest ethos. They want to come to work here. It's continuing unabated. I take a great deal of comfort, and I'm very heartened by this development. And I think that's the quintessential predictive model as to why we're going to thrive long
I
term.
agree with you, Bob. I agree with you, and we appreciate your time. Thank you.